Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. Today, we are going to, as promised yesterday, we're going to look in on your person a little bit and just kind of see what's happening. So, yesterday, we did the thank you reading, and some really interesting energy came up, and we discovered that there wasn't very much about your person's emotions coming out in that. So, we went to that in the extended, which, if you haven't seen it, this is it's the reading plus the extended all in one video, so you don't have to go over to Vimeo to get it. I do it once a month just as a way to say thank you. So if you haven't seen that, it may be worth checking it out. But in there, we went ahead and dug into your person's emotions a little bit more deeply. And it just showed us that we needed to do more of a reading that shows what's happening with your person, especially in light of what we've seen over the past few days. So that's what we're going to do. It'll be a general reading as always. But it's for this collective, so it's not going to resonate with everyone because, of course, it shouldn't. But if you're a part of this collective, then you may want to see some previous messages. You may want to go ahead and subscribe. Take a look around. This might be something that gives you good messages. So we'll start out. We're going to look at again what's happening in your person's feelings and what's happening with your person in general. But we're going to start out by looking at the energetic backdrop. We've been getting some very interesting energy in the backdrop these last few days, especially with. Yes, this is exactly what we've been seeing. So, yesterday in the first reading before, so remember we did the reading and then the extended all in one big shot on YouTube. And so the Lover's card came out, but it was in reverse because it was feeling this bond between the two of you, but not having any idea about what to do about it. You know, we talked about in a reading a couple days before that, even, it was this feeling like they were chasing, and they were coming to get you, but they had no idea what they were going to do when they caught you. And so yesterday was a little bit more of that. This starts to feel like it's coming together as far as the energy. So in some cases you're not hearing directly from this person, but the energy that is coming to you is becoming very harmonious with your own. And so it's that feeling of coming into union, but not necessarily having done all of the steps of reconciliation that are required to get there. We know there's more healing just from the last couple days in the readings that needs to take place, but there's a very coming together sense within this energy. You know, we're going to look at the month of May over the next couple of readings. We're going to look at, we're going to do a big general look tomorrow, and then the next day we'll do the soulmates view. But I am super curious to know what we need to know about May, given the way that April is kind of finishing out. So, all right, we've got the Seven of Swords. Okay, I've been seeing this one come up in some of the personal readings. So this is Seven of Swords or Seven of Wind. It's air energy, and in this deck, it's wind. This is, it's a lack of trust, but it's because of people's opinions. Okay, so people's opinions are swaying this energy, and so may not just be with your person, may also be with you. This almost has the sense of overthinking, which would be more eight of wind, eight of swords, but it's got that sense to it a little bit. So it's kind of not being able to keep your opinions of your own opinions on an even keel because of some of what's happening in other people's opinions. Then we've got the Two of Earth, which is the cause and effect card, and it's really about day-to-day balance. And so this is the sort of balance that's easy to lose, but it's also the sort of balance that's easy to recover. And it seems like things are maybe over the last couple days, especially as we've skidded into this Mercury retrograde, there's been a little bit of a sense of imbalance, and some of that balance starts to come back, which I believe is also why that Lover's card is in the upright. So that is maybe a little bit less discombobulated, but not without confusion with that Seven of Wind card sitting there. It still seems like there's a fair amount of confusion in the energy, and it kind of has, like I said, that overthinking feeling to it. Here we have this card again. This is the this is the equivalent of the Magician card, and it keeps coming out in the reverse because people keep feeling like their hands are tied. Sometimes it's you, sometimes it's your person who feels like you can't manifest what you need to in the situation, but it's coming out again, and this time it's just kind of coming out in the energy. So this energy a lot of times is when we're looking at the energetic backdrop, it's the energetic backdrop that both of you are swimming around in. So it is something that it's not surprising that it comes out in both of you, in both of your energies here in the last day or so, simply because it's been there. It's been in the energy. There's a lot. There's a lot that the two of you have kind of had to work through. It's like walking through high water that's rushing water, and it's more difficult than it looks sometimes. You've got the Brother of Water here, which speaking of that feeling of walking through high water, and it actually kind of looks like that's what he's doing. This is the Knight of Cups in the traditional tarot, and so this is a very, it's a eyes wide open, emotional, sort of creative feeling, but by the same token, it is again not without fear. This is not usually a card that I get a lot of fear off of, and maybe it's the proximity of that Seven of Wind. This is so much like what we've seen. Can I just say this is like what we've seen in the last couple days, where it's like, oh, I'm feeling very stable, but I'm terrified. Like, oh, okay, you could be both of those things. And it is always you could be both of those things, but it's an interesting set, conglomeration of feelings that we're seeing in these people. They're ready to move forward. They're really feeling the bond, but yet there's still this fear that wants to be, it just lingers there. It just lingers. It's like an anxiety they can't seem to get rid of. And you may be getting a sense of that. You may be feeling a little bit of that too. So here's that Temperance card. This is the Temperance card that I'm going to do these one at a time because they're really, this is a special message. So this Temperance card with the in reverse here was just in the upright. Like the way that it's feeling is that it was just in the upright, but now maybe it's moved to the reverse because of the proximity change of your energies. So you and your person have come together in this, this is a spiritual union sort of experience, but there's something over the last few days that has really changed and risen within this, okay? And it has thrown a little bit of that balance off that maybe we thought we had, right? So there is, in some cases, that day-to-day balance is doing pretty well. But the overall staying on the tightrope of life, sort of temperance balance, that one you may be getting thrown off a little bit more than what you might have anticipated. Then we have the Father of Earth here, and this is, there's that duality again, because this is that feeling of, and yet, despite this lack of balance, I'm still moving forward. I still feel like this is something that I can and must do. So the energy coming together between two of you, it's a real thing. It's just, there are going to be people that are reaching out. In some cases, there already have been. But there's a sense of the energy coming together, and it's not without challenge. So it's definitely been a bit of a challenge already in this process, but it's ultimately, that's the path is that it's going, is that energy coming together. So that's what's in your backdrop. Let's take a look then at your person's emotions, because that's what we really came here for. This was what was popping up, or really it was notoriously not present in yesterday's main reading. So I made a point of going into it in the extended reading, because that's the cool thing about the extended reading. You can ask those questions that maybe come up as a result of the being, of the questions that you asked in the main reading. And so this was one of those examples. So we've got the Four of Spirals. Spirals are they're fire energy in this deck. So this is like the Four of Wands, and this is about them. They just want to come home. That's the feeling. They just want to come home. Wow. And you're home. Despite all this nonsense, despite all the I can't do whatever, I've got this fear, I deserve this, and it's where I'm headed. Wow. That's um interesting. So this energetic homecoming might be kind of intense for you. That's part of what I'm getting. Yeah, here's the Fool card. Expect the unexpected. Don't necessarily, oh my goodness. With the Four of Water and the Fool, there is this feeling that it may overwhelm you a little bit, and you may find yourself saying, you know what, I'm a little bit maybe even suspicious. I need to take a moment with this. You're well within your rights to do that, to take a moment with this and just kind of make sure that you feel okay with the type of interaction that you're wanting to have and that you're trying to have, even if it's just that when you go into your meditation, you can now feel this person's energy is kind of ever present. You have choices about that. You don't have to necessarily take that energy to come with you, but you will probably be able to remember everything that's good about it. And some of the pain falling away, there's a sense of some of the pain from the ending or the pain that you two have experienced together. In some cases, this is pain that has been brought up to one or both of you because it echoes pain that you felt long before, long precedes the relationship. But there is this this strong pain starts to fade a little bit um, for them as they think about how the two of you have operated together. This is the Three of Earth, and sometimes it's really just about harmony and kind of working together. But there is a they want to be closer with you, even if it's just on the outskirts of your meditation. They want to be closer with you. There is a movement in your direction that almost feels like it can't be stopped. This is the Brother of Earth. These readings have taken a turn the last few days, you guys. This is really interesting. This is I'm not going to say I don't take Mercury retrograde seriously, but when they require being mentioned, I mention them. If they are not necessarily the biggest thing going on, I may not mention it. You know, this isn't necessarily the topic that I have on this channel, but I got to say, the energy started to shift right about the time of this one, and it has felt particularly strong. This Brother of Earth, though, has a very gradual feeling to it, though. A very gradual movement in an inevitable direction. I would just say it that way. That's part of how your person is feeling. Like they move toward you in an inevitable but gradual way. You bring out in them something that they have a hard time actually enacting this. They have a hard time being the emperor and the balanced masculine energy, because that's really what that is. The emperor is the divine masculine energy and the empress is the divine feminine energy. And so, of course, everyone has that masculine and feminine energy within them. Part of what has to happen is you have to balance that within yourself, each of them, the masculine and the feminine, and then it has to be balanced across the relationship. And so here's the thing. This one has been tough to balance the masculine energy across the situation because of the way they think of you. And they think of you as being just incredibly capable and able to do things that maybe they never even really never even really thought of being able to do some of the things that you can do. And it makes them, it gives them pause. But they feel like there is this great potential for them to support you in some way that maybe has never had that opportunity to happen. I almost feel like there's this kind of Six of Earth in the reverse energy that comes out with this emperor, and it's a regret. It's a feeling of regret and not having done give and take the way that they would want to have done give and take. Almost a feeling of guilt there. Something's not over yet. So we've got the universe card that's come out here in the reverse. And that's one of the things that they've always felt, is that this isn't done. They just aren't sure what to do next. And so now what we've noticed is we've seen these readings where they feel like they have to move forward. They still don't know what to do next, but it doesn't change the fact that they feel like they need to move forward, and that's that forward movement. This is the decisive forward movement with the Brother of Wind. This is like the Knight of Swords. It's moving forward decisively, but again, not necessarily with all of the strategy in mind, which that's more of a King of Swords, the province of the King of Swords. They are still in a place where they're trying to be aware of their actions, I would say, or aware of what drives them. And this Hermit card talks about that a little bit. It talks about them being still in their thoughts about what's happening in this relationship. They're really approaching this with open eyes, like we saw over here. It was eyes wide open, still heading this direction. And it's okay that I do this despite the fact that I'm tied off, but I'm not. I'm definitely coming off of this tightrope to a certain degree, or there's some wavering going on there. But they're doing it really with eyes wide open. This is an interesting thing. If you haven't heard from them, the energetic equivalent it feels like it should be going strong at this point. There's just a lot of presence with you between them. They're feeling the bond between you very strongly right now. Okay, so next we're going to look into what you should be focusing on given all of this. We're also going to dig a little bit deeper, I think, as we go into the extended. We're going to dig a little bit deeper into what is happening with your person, because we knew they were conscious and aware of certain things, but this feels like it's almost taken a step forward. And I'm curious to understand exactly what that means. So we'll dig into it a little bit deeper with regard to that. And maybe get a feel for what else you need to know there, because I just have to wonder. I know we're going to do the May readings in the next couple of days, but I wonder, what is it that could give you the edge as you're thinking about this, because you're going to figure out which pieces, and I'm sure we're going to get to that here in a moment, but you're going to figure out which pieces of you still need to be healed. So let's be thinking a little bit more about what this situation is bringing to you. That's what we'll look into in the extended, along with digging more deeply into their emotions about the situation, and about how have things changed with regard to their emotions around you. But first, we're going to go ahead and look at the overall focus for you at this time. And this is kind of that next step. This is that next step emotionally. We'll probably look at it a little bit more broadly, and we always get that broader advice when we go into the extended reading, but this is kind of pinpoint advice. Given what we've seen here in today's energy, what do you want to be going off and meditating on this evening? What do you want to be thinking about after you walk away from this reading? What is that next area of focus? And that's what we're asking in this question. I'm curious to get to the extended, though, and take the broader look and just kind of see, well, what's on the bridge? But first, I guess, let's see what comes out here. So we've got the Wheel of Fortune. Yep, Wheel of Fortune in reverse. And the Wheel of Fortune in reverse is overgrown. It's not moving. This is something that you don't even think it's going to move. Like there's this sense of, and you look at this card, this wheel is in an overgrown situation. It doesn't look like anything is really happening with it. And yet this is the wheel of change. Here in the reverse, it's not moving. And again, you really don't even expect it to move. But be aware that expectation is not necessarily going to be in your best interest in this situation. the more you can do to kind of remove your expectations and just let things happen the way that they will, the closer you're going to get to this lesson, which is ultimately about being comfortable in that uncomfortable situation. It's not knowing, not knowing what direction things are going to go, not knowing, not needing to know, as a matter of fact. So that's kind of the focus that you want to have right now. If you're sitting here and you're having an initial interaction with somebody you haven't talked to in a long time, this is not where you want to sit and overthink whether or not they're responding quickly enough. That's the sort of energy that comes out there. Okay, so we've got the Moon card coming out in reverse. You are going to learn something, though. And it may be about yourself and your ability to, maybe about yourself and your ability to be comfortable in this uncomfortable situation, but be prepared for it to also be about your situation and about your person. But it's that sort of moon that we've been seeing where the moon comes out from behind the clouds, shines on something, but it's moonlight, so you still don't have a very good idea of it. Be aware that you're moving toward some sort of stability. This is that same kind of feels like home that your person had up here, and it's actually the same card. That was the Four of Spirals. This is the Four of Fire. And it is very much that sense of going toward a home. That home is within you, and they know it, but they think it's within you as opposed to within them. With you, though, you're going to be discovering this as you, even as you watch that moonlight shine on something that sort of gives you a better view, and you realize you still don't know everything, but you're going to be okay with it. It's like this Temperance card in the upright. It's that feeling of, no, I really am okay with not knowing what's going to happen next. Oh, this one is back. Okay, I felt like it wasn't supposed to pop out, but it is. All right, so this one is a card of perspective within the universe, and it is the 79th card in a 78 card deck. And so this one is, it's not in the traditional tarot anywhere, but what it means for this one, for this particular deck, it's really about, it's that perspective within the universe that allows you to really just kind of sit and take stock of everything that's happening to you. It's the place where gratitude comes from. One of those mantras that I meditate on every day is around gratitude, but it's such a broad gratitude, and that's kind of what this card brings to you. And what it's saying is to just be aware that there may be more opportunity for gratitude than you are currently experiencing. And that it's not just, gratitude is not just one way. You don't just give gratitude, you also receive as a result of putting that gratitude emotion out into the universe. And don't shortchange yourself on that. If you have the opportunity to sit down, do a little bit of thinking about your gratitudes, it's going to do, it really starts to shift your perspective fairly immediately, but it also is going to help you move toward this stability within yourself. And this is more stability within yourself. With this Nine of Earth, this is like an emotional independence. You're going to be able to see it when the moonlight strikes up just a moment there. Even if it goes away and it goes behind a cloud fairly quickly, you still saw it. And that sense of emotional independence and understanding, here's how I plan to deal with this, is part of what's going to put this star card upright. So if you've been watching this channel for a while, you've seen the star card come in the reverse a lot of times, and I'll talk about it being, a delay. That's part of what ends the delay, is the recognition that you can be emotionally independent. It's got a little bit of that that kind of Eight of Earth emotional, let's see, that emotional sense of self-mastery. It's got a little bit of that to it as well. But it's something that when this perspective shows itself, you're not going to be able to unsee it, and you're going to realize you are far more capable of how can I put this? You're more capable of that emotional independence than you might even realize. And I don't think you doubt yourself in that way. So here we have the Two of Water. And it's talking about the, even with the situation with your person, you still have a little ways to go. We saw some of that in yesterday's reading, and I think it was in particular in the extended portion. So that one's totally free. You can just go and look at yesterday's reading, and it'll have the extended attached to it. Um, but I'm trying to remember exactly how it was or how it was said, but this is about you needing to work through some things that might surprise you, as far as things you might not have expected to be issues, like not feeling like you can be as vulnerable as maybe you would usually feel. And then we've got the Two of Wind, which is about the decision that we know is going to be difficult to make. That's one that we keep seeing come up. And it is not necessarily a quick decision or even an easy decision, but it is an important one. And it's one that sets you down a path, but there's not a wrong path that you can take. The way you make this decision is really just a position on a flow diagram. Like, you just are going to continue into the flow. You still end in the right place. So we're going to go ahead and go to the extended as we're thinking about how that feels and what that means. We're going to go ahead and go into the extended. We're going to get a little bit more on your person's emotion around the situation. And then we're also going to see about just how else you might be thinking about this and what else you might be able to get out of it. So if this was your story, hopefully you subscribe and take a look at some of the previous videos to get some additional messages. Just kind of get caught up. I release about a video a day, and this stuff is starting to feel like it's moving a mile a minute. But we'll take a closer look into how your person is feeling in the extended. The link is down below. Hope to see you there. Otherwise, I will see you in tomorrow's reading.